Live. We are live, gentlemen. Live.
Welcome for our post-Adepticon Metacrew show. Brad is dead today, so he will be doing very, very limited talking. So you're stuck tonight with just me and Mr. Cherokee Open himself and the TO of the North, Brian Horton. So,
Evening, guys.
Got have a pretty interesting show tonight, especially without Brad talking. I mean, we can just shit talk him the entire time, and he probably won't respond. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But real quick, like, how was your guys' weekend?
Mine was absolutely fantastic. I went to a really well-run event up in Petawawa, Ontario, Canada, put on by Nick and judged by one of the stat check guys whose name is going to escape me at the moment, Jeremy Atkinson. It was a really fun event, really nice, a little rough with 2.5-hour rounds, and 4 rounds on Saturday was just like kind of like what you dealt with at Adepticon of a long day, but it was a good time. Met and saw a lot of really nice people, got to hang out with some of the DOG Canada guys. It was a really nice time.
I'm glad to hear that. Did you do anything fun, Steven?
For the purpose of talking about games, I'll talk about my double RTT last weekend. This weekend, all I did was painting for the GT coming up. But if we reference any games, I'll talk about my Tau games from last weekend.
Okay, we'll talk about your games from last week then. Let's hear it. Because we didn't have you last week, right?
Right, yeah, but the power was out, unfortunately. Somebody decided that they wanted to run into a transformer. It didn't work really well for them. So, yeah, I did back-to-back RTTs. Game On in Chattanooga runs Sunday RTTs occasionally. And then High Ground, which is our good friends Wes's store. They are Stiff Neck Studios by painting purposes. Really good dudes. They ran a tournament on Saturday. I ran the same list for both because I'm going through the play all of your factions challenge and get a win with an RTT for everything. So I had to lock for Tau for both just in case. I ran that same list, Tom, that you had experience with the double crisis brick. Had a lot of good times. There was a lot of good players out there. Some folks had struggled into double crisis a little bit more. Did not drop them on turn 1 again. I learned the lesson the hard way against Tom. So yeah, but I got two RTT wins for the greater good this weekend.
Oh yeah, I obviously, like we talked about a second, I played Adepticon, had pretty fun. Played in the champs. Didn't play teams this year. So it was kind of nice to actually get home kind of early. I think we left Saturday night. And had a pretty decent run in the champs, made the semifinals, and just like Dan said in chat, he wants me to put me in that corner of shame for my key unit getting wrecked like that. Yeah, you know when you play 7 rounds and you're tired and you're partying while you're at an event, and I don't know, it was a mistake. I'm used to just people declaring things up here and then not trying to find it being perfect. Not that I'm shaming any kind of people that play that style, because it's most likely the proper way to play. And I just didn't pre-measure things. Like we always talk about, Brad always talks about it. Pre-measure everything, you get your opponent to engage and make the conversation with you and get them to do the agreement. And I was just tired. I didn't do any of that. So I got caught making a mistake and that I thought was like plugged up, and Iron saw a weakness. And I mean, great sportsmanship, fun, great person to play against. Had a lot of fun playing against him, but absolutely put the boots to me because I allowed him to collapse the flank and stop my counter slap back that I was going to do. But other than that, I had a great time at the event. Seen a lot of DOG up there. I think there was like 30, 40 of us maybe.
Awesome.
So had a lot of fun. But yeah.
You should address the baby boy fun.
The baby boy fun.
All I know is I heard that someone didn't get a cow suit delivered to him. So there is a lot of disappointment on my behalf that it did not happen. And I think
welched.
He didn't welch. No, he said that he wasn't buying the suit, that someone had to bring it. And I was told by multiple sources that they were procuring these suits and none showed up for him. So Tom, being the stand-up guy that he is when we talked earlier today, specifically said that if someone brought it to ATC, he would wear it at ATC.
I'm
So
in more.
like right now, I'm telling you, I've given you the link. It's out there. Buy it. Bring it to ATC with you and give it to that man to wear.
I'll wear it for a whole day. Matt, I just don't see why everyone trying to tell us that like America has to take revenge and stuff like, Europe and the UK, because the UK I believe is not part of Europe anymore, right? But
It is.
It's
just not part of the Union. It's not part of the European Union for financial
Break off
purposes.
from the
I
continent.
got you. Europe sent two of their top players here, and they did really well. Like that happens.
Do you think part of the reason that the players did so well at this event from overseas is because of the Adepticon terrain? Because as someone who wasn't at the event this year but has familiarity with the event, when you know what terrain you're walking into and there's a lot of shooting meta available right now, do you think that lended a lot to that?
I think it's possible, but honestly, like Iron plays a really alpha strike army, but he also knows how to play like defensively. And this seems just a stud, right? What can you say about this team? The dude's been on fire since he's been in the meta. So, yeah. Matt, I know it's mostly a joke, and also to hit on this flex real quick, that baby boy. I heard that people were counting it and didn't like the fact that I call people baby boy in stream, like I meant it in some malicious way. I don't think that way. I call everyone baby boy. Unless their pronoun is different, then I'll call them baby girl as long as they're okay with it. It's just a term of endearment for me. That's all I can say on that. Thanks, Sassio. Yeah, I try to be nice. Our team's built on sportsmanship. Whether I'm winning or losing, I'm not gonna be upset. I'm gonna have the same mentality. And Arn rolled really well, and I'll cheer him on. And when he beat me, I gave him a hug and congratulated him. Honestly, Nathan, I was ready to call after that first turn, but I was like, I'll throw some long bomb plays out there just to see if it works. Somehow I roll hot, but like a lot of people don't realize, when he did that, he didn't just take one of my card skins away, because I had another one, but he took the one that was staged for my counterattack. He basically separated my buffs. He hit the right things. I just did that just to see if somehow something got lucky. But he was exhausted. It was like 6:30 a.m. his time at that point, and you could tell he was tired. And I was like, man, why? If I don't get this miracle shooting phase in, I'm ready to call it. That way he can get some rest. I can pack my stuff up sooner. I can hang out with DOG, because at that point I'd been there for 3 days and I barely got to hang out with the team because you're playing so much. So I was like, I can get to hang out with the team early, and then this guy, like, he literally got out of his last game like 10 minutes for the game where I had like an hour break. So I was like, at least let this guy get some break for the finals. And it was fun. It was a good game. I never really got it when people get upset when they lose and they want to try to trash their opponent. I'm probably gonna die in a cow suit, Brandon. I agree with you. But like I was saying, if someone beats me, man, I want. It's just a game. I want them to have fun. I want to enjoy it, and like me and Art became friends. Hopefully after that, like if I see each other at another event, we'll always have a laugh about how he put the absolute boots to me. I don't think I've ever conceded after our first turn before. That wasn't like a practice game. So I finally know how it feels to be on the receiving end of that, and I don't like it. I don't like it, man. This is it was rough.
And I mean, anybody who's been adjacent to WTC or anything knows that there's a lot of friendly rivalry, especially between the UK and America. And of course, they're going to call our meta weak, because even though they have 400 people events every week, they still lose ITC to us. Oh, I'm sorry, that would be talking trash. My bad. But yeah, no, like there's a friendly rivalry that goes back and forth, and we hope that they'll extend us the same kindness whenever we come over to their events. So it's going to be a good time. We're going to have a good time, make friends, and it's going to be a blast.
I had fun. Me and Azim was hanging out all weekend, and
now, did we convince any of them to come over to Motor City? That's the question.
I got some things in the works. Got some things in the works.
Fair.
Yeah. Got some things in the works. I talked to a couple of them. As kind of, now that I got to show them some of the training in person and stuff, it's kind of hard for them to try to commit to it in less than 2 months when it's a big trip for them. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I think it was a good fun. It was a good event. I'm not a massive fan of Adepticon's terrain. I'm not gonna get into any kind of like trying to shame anyone or make any comments. I don't want to do that in a public forum. But what I can say is the head TO David is awesome. I like David. Rumor is he might not be running it next year, so sad panda here for that. But the one thing I can say about Adepticon is no matter how you feel about the event that we went to, Adepticon just was an experience. Like the fact that you walk around a massive, and I do mean a massive hotel, and there's just so many things going on, and even Nassim and them are like, dude, this is awesome. Like everyone's partying or having fun. I mean, I wish the restaurants would staff themselves, but there's Naz right there. What's up, Nassim? Hey, baby boy, congratulations again on your victory. We were just talking about how Adepticon is an event, even if you don't like the terrain or any particular event. There's so many of them, and it's a great time. So I had a lot of fun, and met some cool people, did some partying, and responsible partying, obviously. And still didn't have a drink. I had a lot of people trying to buy me drinks. I still haven't had one in 7 months. I don't know why. I just been off that wagon for some reason.
So as the review of Adepticon is you had a great time. It was a good event. What did you think of? Clearly, I have the photos behind me of the GW preview.
First off, finally another Primarch. Love it. Love it. I love the model. That model with the winged helmets. I love it. The fact that they're going to be releasing so many new models for NIDS, like, I just first off, what
I'm fully convinced that this is a Demikiron.
Think so?
Oh God, I hope so. Because I played with 2 this weekend, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I'm painting up the 3rd one right now, who's like kicking around over here. But I would love for the plastic ones because the resin ones, although nice, they are not really weighted well. So hopefully the plastic ones are weighted well. But I'm really looking to see what the heck that thing is because that's just really cool looking. It's like a beetly mouth feeder. I like the idea of it. The Screamer Killer getting a new kit, clearly, because when they've done all these preview videos, they've shown that I'm super excited for. What looks like I'm gonna guesstimate possibly a Norn Queen model, which was that big psyker that they showed with the crown. It's the only thing I could think of because the Zoanthrope kit is relatively new. They're not replacing that. It had 2 little attendants, it looked like, to it. So I was thinking maybe a Norn Queen, which is a very old Tyranid fluff item. Along with that, new Hormagaunts, new Termagants, a new Lictor, new Biovore, I would assume Pyrovore combo kit. I am super stoked, even though I own tons of all those models, to get some new stuff is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think the fact that they're finally releasing models for a faction that's been starved for them for so long is pretty sweet. I think the new Terminators look awesome. But like I said, Adepticon 7 ago, great event, great organization. So many things you can do all night long and get to hang out with friends. It's truly a different experience than any other tournament. I just wish the tournament had better terrain. But and also it wasn't just rolling to go first. I went second every single game but one. And I think Nas, like I said, that stud I told you that one event, he went second a lot as well, I believe. There's some matchups where going first, Adepticon is like required to win a game almost because everyone gets another gun line. And then you don't have a way of hiding your stuff. You just get blown off. If I would have just measured and not gave him that deep strike, I think I had a pretty good shot to still win going second in there because I said he's gonna kill 2 to 3 Lehman Russes. When you're running 5 of them, you can lose to them and still be super, super effective in shooting. I gave him that hole and I was tired and that happens. And I can't be upset because the guy I lost to was a fantastic person, good soul, and nice guy. So I had a lot of fun with him. And then, even if I would have won a game going against NASA's list with that terrain, whoever goes first has a pretty big advantage. So it could have been just another dice roll. So yeah, it is what it is. It was a great event, though, a great organization. Really enjoyed it. And just train, please. Fix the terrain.
I mean, that's one of the hardest parts to upscale something on that size with the amount of events that they have. To try and upgrade everything is always tough. As a TO, Tom and Crawley, I know you've seen this at events, and we've talked about it exhaustively. It's tough to keep up on. I really hope that with 10th rolling around, terrain is taken into consideration on the TO side of things, of not knocking us out of contention when we're running something, a month after the release or so, to make life easy on us. I hope that Games Workshop kept that in mind as writing their rules, because I don't think they're going to make their personal terrain that they use for their GTs ineffective.
No. And Brant already kind of said that at some events, they would not mess with their setup at all when it comes to terrain setup. And it's another reason why we're happy staying GW. I think the way they've been talking, I think GW is going to become the standard for most tournaments very soon.
I think that we're going to see in 10th edition that GW becomes the recommended way of play. Not the only way, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But I think that you're going to see a more consistent, because I think it makes the health of the game more consistent if everybody is playing on a similar style. We've talked about here before, player placed is a skill, and some people that don't have enough time to practice can lose games based upon either the wrong die roll or just the inability to be able to adapt their list from one style to another, and it's a completely different game, right? So I do think that we will see that. It makes me worried because layout 3 is crazy for some armies compared to others. But
I don't know. I've been really thinking about 10th edition. Got kind of revealed this weekend, obviously, and the little tidbits you hear and there about it. Obviously, a lot of the rumors people were talking about before are wrong. Like, there's no glancing hits or what they're talking about. That's big rumor that everyone thought toughness going away is not a thing. Thank God. But the one thing that got me kind of excited about it is they said it's more simplified, like Steamline, right? And I'm okay with it, because hopefully if they take away a huge chunk of these, what is Brad doing? Oh, he's posting Golden Demon Runners for painting. All right, cool. But no, they take away these stratagems for everyone, and then they make it more like just a few per each army. It's a lot less you have to memorize, which I think could put emphasis more on movement and target priority.
I think the thing that I found the most, number one, the psychic phase going away, not quite knowing 100% where it's going to fit in, but I would assume it's in the command phase. But to see that your psychic powers are going to be right on your data sheet. It's going to be right there. You're not going to have to flip to another page. You're going to have a data sheet right in front of you and go, bam, this is it. Boom, this is what they can do. I think that'll make things a lot more interesting. And the data sheet that they've put out with the Termagon on it, I actually kind of like the way they broke down the strength of the weapon and didn't give a strength specifically to a model. So your attack has a strength characteristic. So then you can have a strength 7 melee attack, but a strength 4 melee attack as well with a different weapon. And you can have the multiple gun profiles listed there with their different strengths, and you're not focused on user +1 or this plus that. It's just that attack has this strength. I kind of liked that.
One of the things that I find that I'm curious about, and you touched on it lightly, is Forge World, because they've said over and over again that all of your rules, all of your data sheets, you will just need 2 books, your main book and your other. And Forge World's consistently so far has been in another book, right? I think that's so much better for a lot of reasons. You get updates more frequently to your stuff. You don't have to worry about your data sheets being carried by one book like NIDS were for the first half of 8th edition, where it's the Democarian was carrying them. But it would be interesting if they move to that, and if they start moving towards plastic kits for that, what the future of Forge World will look like.
Yeah.
Forge World seems to be much more of, at least the way they've been releasing things lately, it seems to be more specialist game focused, to where it's, here's Horus Heresy stuff, here's your Lord of the Rings things, here's your rare upgrade kit for Heresy, here's this minute thing for Aeronautica. It may be that they're I don't want to say doing away with Forge World, but they're taking Forge World to being the specialist. You buy 1 or 2 of this item kind of thing, where it's become less of what it at one point was, where there was a lot of models that you could use out of that range in your 40K game.
Yeah. I agree with that. But one thing also we're talking about this is that it sounds like the 10th is going to drop in June, right? That's what
Yep.
the rumors are sounding like.
That's the
It
rumor.
means we have 2 months of this last meta.
Yep.
And before we get too far now, I'd like to talk a little bit about Adepticon and the meta we've seen there, because it's kind of like our shtick as the meta crew. I think there's some pretty good armies out there. We've seen a lot of good performances from Black Templars I put out there. There's great players, Sherwin and them, and play against Sarah from Cuddle Buddies on against her Templars, and they were pretty strong. So Marines are there. Obviously, Space Wolves are there. Didn't see the greatest performance that we expect from Dark Angels, but man, Guard were everywhere. Guard were in force.
Do you think that's partially because of the terrain, with them being the boards being as open as they are at Adepticon? The melee focused armies and the durability focused armies that could hide and survive fairly well didn't see the play that you would normally expect them to from players, because the top tier players moved to the more shooting style.
I think I could have had a factor in it, but not all of us understood how open the boards were going to be, because they kept saying all summer, all last summer they're going to fix it. They said early this year that it was fixed, and
No.
it wasn't.
They've said
No,
that
they
on years on years.
the thing I can say is they put up pictures of new terrain, and I give them the credit of they did add terrain, but it didn't go on tables that were missing stuff. It just was a couple new tables. I didn't realize that when they were posting their pictures.
I want to say hey real quick to Big Tim. What's up, baby boy? Welcome to the show. Captain of DOG Canada just entered the chat, so it's kind of cool to see.
And Tim had an amazing weekend.
Oh yeah,
he was 5-0 going into the finals. Lost a game against World Eaters that he still had a chance to win. Amazing performance by him, and he went through a gauntlet of players. I mean, he started the first round versus a really strong player, Francois from Canada, who is also absolutely fantastic, and he did a great job. He did an absolutely phenomenal job.
I heard a lot of DOG did good up in Canada, so it's cool to see that All His Dust. Honestly, I think that I heard a lot of players talking about All His Dust at Adepticon. A lot of them talking about not even going to Adepticon next year, and if they try to compete with Adepticon, like giving them like a real event to go to. How far is that across the border, by the way?
So from Syracuse, New York, it's about 5 hours-ish drive, 4.5 to 5 hours. But it was a really easy drive, really easy spot to find. The hotel from the convention center that they held it at was pretty much right across the street, and the hotel was a phenomenal venue. I can't give that enough props. They had really functional terrain. It was really nice, really well organized, amazingly run. I mean, I cannot state enough how good of a job. Every table had a little table tent at it that had the table number on it. On the back of that table number, it described exactly what their terrain did. Every piece, it was really nice. They used a center style piece of place terrain and then player placed for the rest of it. And it was nice. The 2.5 hour rounds were a little short, I can say, with using the player place terrain. But to get 4 rounds in on a Saturday, it did get us out of there and get us to dinner at a reasonable hour, which was kind of nice. It wasn't 10 o'clock at night, which, you would have added 2 more hours to everything. That's probably what time we would have gotten out of there. But it was really fun. Amazingly well run. He gave away a Smith they got a local artist Smith a sword that was the Terminator sword from the Scarab Occult Terminators. I don't remember the name of that type of sword, but that's what they had made. Absolutely gorgeous, with a little stand to put it on. It was really cool. And then they had a lot of other unique little trophies and stuff that went along with it. It was really, really, I mean, I got to give them a lot of credit for their first event that they've held in Petawawa. And yes, that's the actual name of the town. It's a military-based town. It was absolutely fantastic up there in Canada. It was unbelievably great time. So, and they're talking about growing it next year. So it's going to going to be great. And you guys will be up in Canada next weekend, right?
That is a strong possibility.
Yeah.
Well, there is some talk with one or two of the teammates right now in our chat that of maybe not going. So that
Okay.
I was watching it this morning and they were like talking about it. So we'll see. I think there's a good chance we'll still be there. Brad's not talking in voice because he's like dead tonight, everyone, but he's the one behind the Death or Glory. He can chime in if he wants anything about it. We should be there. Not 100% right now.
Okay.
But yeah,
I can say that the most fun events that I have ever been to in Canada is the teams tournament that's next weekend. Canhammer Teams is number one. It's a very well run event. Darren and the Canhammer team do a fantastic job putting that on. It's catered, which I cannot stress enough. If we could all get on board with that in America, I would be all for it, to where lunch is included in your ticket. It would be an amazing thing. Logistically and expense wise, it's kind of tough because venues want to charge way too much for food. But on the side note, it's catered. It's fantastic. They do a nice job. They have good terrain. It is a fantastic time. I give them a lot of credit. They do a nice job. The guy, Jeremy, who was the head judge at All Is Dust, will be there judging as well. So it should be a phenomenal event.
yes. I'm hoping we go. We'll see. I'll find. Well, I think we figured out Wednesday if we're gonna make the ride or not. But we'll see. It'd be fun. I like team events, especially when you got Brad involved. Brad's a team guru, and the way he comes up with some of these pairings, and it's kind of cool to watch him figure it out. So, and not to mention we have some of our DOG Canada guy goes, and those guys are hilarious. They're always fun to hang out with. So,
and I met some of the DOG people from DOG Canada that I had not yet met while we were at All Is Dust. Absolutely fantastic guys, great sports, really nice people. And of course, having one of my favorite Canadians on the team, Diogo Pitta, I'm so happy to see. Love the guy, absolutely phenomenal player, and just great all around dude.
If you want me to have doors. All right, Brandon. I think we're all afraid of Eloise, so we're going to pass on that one, brother. Enjoy your marriage, because we're not facing her for you. But yeah, I'm hoping we go. I honestly, like we were just talking about Canada a second ago, the team, those guys are probably my favorite DOG team because they act like me and they say very inappropriate things, and but in a very friendly and fun manner. And so we'll see. Tim, I will message you after the show, bro. Tim's blowing up my chat now on my phone. I see it next to me, but I'll give you all the details after the show, brother. But I don't know. Just getting back to a little bit of our theme, we'll talk about Adepticon and the tournament's happening this weekend. What do you think from what we've seen at All Is Dust, what we've seen at Adepticon? And Steven, you stayed home this week, and so I don't know what streams you watched, but how do you feel like the meta is going in for this last 2 months? Because it's only 2 months of it left, right? This is the end of 9th.
Well, we know there's a data slate coming, right? And we know the data slate's going to hit GSC and DA. Right? Guard has been performing middle of the road.
Do you think there's going to be a data slate for the last 2 months?
We know that. It was in the MetaWatch article. They specifically called out that there was a slate after Adepticon touching GSC and Dark Angels. And so realistically speaking, if they're going to hit those two, we're going to go farther into the range, right? So the big thing that's holding Iron Hands back, and maybe Guard, maybe not. I mean, Corrales has his opinions about that, right? Is that Deathwing right now is this wedge of if you run into it and your list isn't tooled for it. Like even Guard have a problem where they're like AP3 consistently across the board. Terminators are getting 3-ups, and you're going to drop dice on the way in, damage 2 from damage 3. Like the Kasserkin bomb is a huge deal, but once it's exhausted, it becomes this really uphill grind, right? Once you get rid of Dark Angels from the meta, you're going to see, and GSC to a point because they're a weird skew in the way that you have to play / build against them, right? You're going to see more proliferation of the ranged factions right now, right? I think that Adepticon in and of itself, because I've looked at the terrain from Adepticon year over year, and it stayed pretty consistent, and it's very consistent with what you see at like London GT and Manchester, the Manchester Super Major. is that you see a lot more shooting proliferation there. And I think that that's why we saw that at Adepticon. But now with the data slate hitting it, I really do think that we're going to see a very aggressive ranged heavy meta through the remainder, right? Because the world eater problem is it can be handled with screens, and also they don't do as well into Votan. And I think that now, especially after Dark Angels are out, I think you're going to see Votan, Tau, Guard, and Iron Hands be the big four for a bit.
So do you think that, the question I have, because I'm in the midst of building it right now, do you think the 30 Nerf gun Marines, and I'm going to call them Nerf gun Marines for a while, they're Desolation Marines, are going to be the Iron Hand staple going forward? Because watching 30 Dark Lances walk across the board is frightening. It takes out tanks. It can, because of you can shoot both profiles, it takes out stuff behind cover. It will take out your screens. Do you think that's going to become something?
For Iron, yes.
Yeah.
I know Manny Chima has been having success running it with Dark Angels, and I think that's intriguing, but I think that's more of a UK meta aspect. I think that would have been really good at Adepticon with the little amount that you could screen things. Being able to kill things that are screened behind would be fantastic. I don't think in dense terrain, but again, if we move into a Votan, Guard, How meta, then those things become extremely well off, because the things that you're wanting to kill are things that are higher save, and you need to just pop off like a drone or something like that, right? If you can get them to then take a shot into and knock a shot off of like your Crisis Shasso to be able to do it or whatever, you're going to put yourself in a good spot. So yeah, I do think that those are actually going to become pretty premier pretty quickly, especially in Iron Hands. Sorry, Shasvir, thank you.
The thing is, the reason why you see them in Dark Angels is because when they don't move, they get that +1 to hit.
Yeah, but they're only range 24 or 30, 36, range 36.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good board. Pretty big board control. It's like what we do with the AFPs on Christ Suits. You give them the long strike buff, you get the +1 to hit. So now your AFPs are still hitting on 4s. So it's a big deal. Like if you do it with Marines and you don't move as Dark Angels, you're hitting on 3s. Rerolling 1s if you have a captain near you, you know what I mean? So, or if you have a Talon Master near you, reroll 1s and reroll 1s to wound. Like it's pretty strong to it. I can see why. I can also see though having Dark Angels and not Dark Angels, but Iron Hands, what it could do in there. But I think the Dark Angels is the best thing for him.
I think that 3 5-man squads with Iron Hands is going to open up the Iron Hands. Basically, it fixes a few of the problems that Iron Hands had. Yeah.
It's funny, we're talking about these models being really good, and like 2 months ago, we were like, man, these models ain't that good.
It's all meta dependent, right? Like if they undid the nerfs that they did to Hail of Doom, and Hail of Doom became the thing, like exactly right. We have not said, taking a step back, we haven't used AFPs in months.
I still run them in every one of my towel lists. What are you talking about?
Okay, I'm sorry. The normal towel players outside of I go to the 9s Ogden here don't normally AFPs. They've been running burst cannons, right? But the second that we went into a situation where you needed to snipe Karskin before they could snipe you, AFPs as far as the eye can see, right? And I've had good success with those. If we go into a situation where you see more people that have saves that are failable when they get +1 to save, then you see people will start running more things, right? The meta evolves constantly and consistent. Without going too much on a tangent, the reason that we saw aircraft originally was because of the proliferation of GW terrain being so popular and how difficult it is to shoot things that are staging on GW terrain. So the solution became everybody runs aircraft because you can actually shoot things behind the giant 5-inch wall of I can't shoot you, right? To the point where aircraft got nerfed, but it was a solution to a problem that we see. And there are armies that currently suffer from the lack of aircraft now because they don't have the ability to shoot behind walls and deal with those things. Yeah, that's just my opinion. That's like my opinion, man.
I think that, but also like I'm gonna hit a little bit, and I'm gonna go back kind of beginning of the show where we're talking about Adepticon, because we just had a rush of people come in and a few people messaging me about my run at Adepticon. One, great time at Adepticon, Play a lot of good people. Lost to a really good guy in Arn. But the one thing I want to bring up, and I'm gonna beat this dead horse for Brad. Brad's here, by the way, everyone. He's just on camera because the man's dying and he's not talking. He's just kind of running the stream. But make sure when you play, you got the reps and you are practiced and you understand where you're going and mental fatigue is real and just also Brad always says, because if you guys watch my game, gave up a hold that allowed my flank to be collapsed, and but other than that, I had a pretty good run. It was a lot of fun, and just
Do you think playing 4 rounds the day prior to that led to the mental fatigue?
No, I think it contributed a little bit to it, but I think it's the fact that we decided to not be adults and get a little bit crazy. Nick Rose had a fantastic run. Brenton had a fantastic run. So I agree with you, Sassio. Yeah, so Nick played GSC. He lost to Nassim, the eventual winner. Nassim's an absolute fucking stud from the UK, if no one knows him. Great guy. Great person, fun to play against. And Nick tried to win in a match that the mission favored him, but the matchup didn't. So
I watched that stream. It was quite an interesting game.
Oh yeah. And then Breton did great and had a fantastic run. Made it to top 16. Lost the guy that I lost to. So obviously Aaron's the real deal because he took me down and he also took down Breton. And playing Votan, an army that most people consider not that good. So great person to lose against. And he was so excited to do as well as he did. So it's fun to see that. But for those who haven't gone to Adepticon, it's a great event to go to. It's a different experience. Do something every single night. There's so many things going on, so many people there. Just wish the train was a bit, like I said, but great time. We also had DOG play in the Long War, which I heard was really fun, and those guys cleaned that event up. Yeah, between Brandon Volley and Lyle and all of them, they went crazy and had a fun time. And Kyle did well as well. And then I don't know what happened in the main teams event though. I unfortunately left Saturday night because Breton had to work the next day and we drove together. So that's why we didn't play teams and still trying to catch up on that because today was my first day back to the job after being gone for about 4 days and trying to get cut off today has been a crazy day.
So it did end up where Canhammer won the teams event. Which was really good. I know they played Brad and Alan and all them in the final round. I heard it was really close, really well, hard fought victory for Team Canada, but they brought it home this year.
Oh, one thing I do want to announce, Steven, I don't know if they've showed you yet, but somebody won a free coaching voucher from you.
So I never gave out any coaching voucher. So where did this coaching voucher come from?
Oh, it is sponsored by DOG.
Oh,
it's sanctioned by the organization. It's like, and I heard this person, they're super excited about you coaching them. I heard they're gonna have a notepad and everything with it.
Who is the wonderful beneficiary of this coaching?
Brandon Volley.
No, I've tried to coach. Listen. I sat down at a table with Brandon Volley in the final round of an RTT, and Brandon Volley is a really good dude, and I enjoy playing him. And he's like, how many hammerheads do you think it takes to kill a Votan super heavy tank? And I was like, I would do 3, right? You don't want to just commit 2 because you can't reroll the wound, right? So I would commit 3. And he's like, no, I'm going to commit 2. And he killed 2, and he did 3 mortal wounds total to it. So I don't know, man. I think Brandon Volley is I will definitely sit down with him and try to give him some coaching, but I don't know.
He lost his first round because he did like 26 multi-melta and melta shots at a demon army, and they made 25 out of 26 saves. And he lost the game because he moved up on it to just kill it, and then they charge everything. So his lovely wife, who is like the mom of DOG, if no one's ever met Eloise before, she's a sweetheart, and I'll fight any one of you that tries to hurt her. But she being the great sport she is, and the lovable wife she is to him, and the great teammate to us, let us partake in this. bought him a card, basically telling him to get well soon, or I forget what it said, or get over your loss. It was get over your loss type of card. Sorry for your loss. That's what it was. Sorry for your loss. And she went around and had every teammate and every friend of his sign it, but in like rude ways, like get better scrub. And it was just like, it was hilarious. Like when you read this card, and what I had signed for him, I like put his little dotted lines, like it was a coupon on the bottom, and said redeemable for 1 free coaching session from Stephen Crowley, and signed it.
I mean, I don't know what you guys say. Every time I make anything or anything like that, y'all tell me I'm bad, right? I'm like, I go and win a thing with Terminators, and you're like, no, Terminator stand's still bad. And you bring on the other Dark Angels guy to tell everybody to run bikes like that's the right answer or something. Like, that's not how that works. No.
It's hard to put it down to one event, Chassio. Like we have so many tournament players now. DOG actually took on 2 new teams at Adepticon, so I don't know if those people are announced yet, but we have 2 stable teams
down south. The down south came
down
in.
South.
Dude, I do have something for you because we played Eloise, Brandon, Kramer, and Kyle a day 2 at the team event. So the best is I played Eloise and Kramer, and they came over a couple times for random rules, and Eloise yells at them because we were so chill and goes, "Get your bad mojo off my table. We're having a fun time. You go away." And then at the end of the game, they hand me their packet because we have to fill out the sheets. And Kramer, they just don't have one. There's no score sheets on there for it. So Kramer draws one, and it was like literally makes one on some scrap paper and hands that in. I was like, I was just like, what is even happening here?
No, so yeah, it was just, it's hard for us to point down to one tournament, by the way, Shashio, not to, he does sound like I can't get over his voice. Like I was just thinking about something funny about that. I was going to say it, but I decided not to. But for us DOG guys, we have a lot of events coming up. We have the DOG Invitational, which is an event that's 64-man GT. It's only Team Death or Glory or teams that are associated with us. For example, if Anna's in chat, her team is one of those invited to come play with us because they're like a sister team. We look at them as teammates. And Brad just killed our stream, apparently.
I don't know what just happened.
Yeah. But yeah, there we go. So we have that coming up. We got a GT in Pittsburgh coming up. We have Canhammer potentially next weekend. A lot of us going to Nova. A lot of us going to KC. So there's a lot of events you're going to see a lot of DOG at. And to go over what Brandon told me, so I forgot to cover this because we've been kind of a little bit of a tangent here. So Brandon and Kyle won Best Generals at the Long Wars. Brad and Kramer got Best Sportsmanship. That's pretty awesome.
Awesome.
Matt Aaron got Best Over. I mean, when does Matt Aaron not get Best Over and goes to an event? That's just... Speaking of Best Over, yeah, every time. That man just collects them like it's weird when he doesn't win it.
I don't know what's happening, but I can't make the call status go away because some big thing just showed up. I have no idea why. I'm very sad. I'm very sad, everyone.
I don't know if you can see it right now, Duff, because he's running the stream. For some reason, we have still not learned as a group to not let Brad run our stuff. So this probably should be fixed this week, guys. Now that I think about it, but yeah, it's weird. It's weird not to see Matt Aaron not win Best Overall. Honestly, when he goes to an event. Speaking of which, though, because I had some really good paint scores from my boys at Hobby Goblins because they rushed me my army, well, most of it before the event. I actually won second Best Overall at Adepticon, which is pretty cool. Normally, I don't have a paint score that high to have a shot at stuff like that, so barely missed out Best Overall. So thank you, Hobgoblins, for painting my stuff. As you can see, my background, that's some of the models. So, Brett, I don't know what you're doing. There's just like pop-ups pop up on the screen. Like we're
trying to fix it, but it's from a stupid Skype call. This is true. I did commit to be the Leprechaun mascot for Moo Crew next year.
Oh, we're gonna have a Leprechaun.
Nice.
We're gonna get that same cabin, and we're going to get our cow pitcher.
I still think
Oh, you know
people need
what?
to get, like a vector made of that cow and get like objective markers made for it for
Give
AT.
me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna go grab something. Keep the chat going for 2 seconds. I'm gonna go grab something.
Absolutely. So one of the things I really want to say to everybody, and because this has gotten asked to me a lot, the Salt City GT is July 7th, 8th, and 9th. If everything that I'm hearing from a Games Workshop store employee, they were told they could not take off from the 10th to the 24th. Normally when GW does that, that's like the preview pre-order window for a new edition. That mean the edition would drop on the 24th. 100% Salt City GT will be a 10th edition event. Even if there's not a GT packet out yet, it will be a 10th edition event one way or another.
Were the dates that you said were blacked out?
I was told by a GW employee they were told they couldn't take off between the 10th and the 24th of June.
Interesting. So, I want to show these once my camera comes back up. But look, I want to show everyone what came in today. So, Brad, can you see me still?
I can do it. I just shows all my calls right now going, I can't fix this. And I'm so sad.
Can you minimize it, or does it?
Check it out.
It shows the call as opposed to making it full screen, and now I don't know how to fix it.
Leave it alone, Brad. We'll leave it alone. As we show you guys here, the DOG belts came in for the Invitational. This is them. I don't know if you guys can actually read it on the camera here, but it's the Mass Harrison belt. Pretty excited about it. Definitely not the one Brad's gonna win. And this bad boy here is one Brad would be trying to compete for. This is the Emperor's Champion belt. So this one is for the one who's best general wins bracket 1. But these things are, if you guys never checked out a website called Trophy Smack before for their belts, they're super high quality. I'm pretty happy with them.
Someone in chat tell me how to be an adult and make this go away.
Control Alt Delete and then force close Skype and then make everybody really sad.
You know what, Dan? I'm trying to get Hearthguard nerfed as much as they can. Those things bad touched me in a way that I never been bad touched before, and I didn't like it.
Votan have already been bad touched enough, and they
don't need any more nerf.
They need to.
I actually think so. On the data slate side of things, which we touched on briefly for a second, I think they're gonna hit Dark Angel Terminators. I think that's where you're going to see the hit there for them. You're going to see a hit to GSC secondaries. You'll see a hit to, I would assume, World Eater secondaries. That's my quick guess. And I think Guard are going to get a minor point increase to Lehman Russes. I think that's all you're going to see for a light touch on that data slate.
Guard now have been like a 51, 52% win rate. They're not going to touch Guard.
They'll give them a little. I think they're going to give them a little touch. I just think it's only going to be to Russes.
Just fix Votan's book and undo all the changes. They've already got enough points changes as it is.
I don't think Votan's going to get anything. I think they're just going to leave them where they are.
I'm still talking to the group about that. If we're going to do streaming at the Invitational, it depends if people want it more like it was last year, where it was super relaxed and no one was being high-end stress, or if they want, because when you go on stream, some people get nervous. Like, they don't like being on stream because they're afraid to make one mistake. They're labeled as a cheater, or.
So one thing I give War Games Live a lot of credit. I watched the rebroadcast of the Demon player playing the Soul Grinders and Great Unclean Ones and all that in his game that was on stream. And at the beginning of it, they were like, "Look, guys, these are not top-end tournament players. They made the top 16. Please relax and don't dish them if they make a minor mistake. Just let them be. They're here to have fun just like everybody else." And I can say that was a great thing to hear Joe from War Games Live say. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I heard he does a good job at that. I haven't really watched the stream lately because he seems to do it when I'm at the tournament, so it's just tongue twister for some reason there. But I don't know. It depends. I gotta talk to everyone is invited if they want it super relaxed or if they want to invite a stream. I think we could have stream. I'm with you, Steven. Put me on stream every single round. I got nothing to be ashamed of. I'm gonna try to hide. I'm gonna act the same way. I'm gonna say baby boy. regardless if people like it or not.
Listen, guys. All of us have played on stream once or twice. Some of us a lot more than that. The part that gets really, really hard is, like, a lot of us play a lot of armies, right? I'm the first one to admit that I don't play perfectly. That's why a lot of us play by intent, because we play a lot of stuff. We want to make sure that we're doing everything right. We want our opponent to question us. We want to go through and make sure that we're playing a clean, good game, because nobody wants to see a game be over very quickly because I accidentally stuck one Terminator out too far, right? And it becomes this really interesting back and forth dichotomy when you're playing that, because there's sometimes when you might make a mistake because you want your opponent to take advantage of it, right? Like anybody who saw the Cherokee game when I was playing against Lennon, there was a reason that I had 10 Terminators out and only 4 were in cover, because I was trying to get Lennon to come attack them. Right. But the point is,
what are you laughing at, Brad?
He's having too much fun. If you watch that game, we played clean and by intent the entire time, and it's just a thing that happens. And there's just this always overarching concern when you're playing on stream that you're going to get like one rule wrong, or one different version of your list that you were playing before. Mm-hmm. You had a different weapon or something, and then the entire witch hunt's going to come out, and they're not going to care about the interesting interim, right? You're just going to be a Reddit article in the morning.
I don't care. Like, the thing is, and I told Brad this when we had a different controversy not too long ago, you can't cancel those who ain't afraid of being canceled. Like, I don't care. I'll say baby boy to all my friends, to my people, whenever I want. I don't care what people think about it. I asked Art in the beginning, and if you've never played with me before and I don't know you, I asked, well, hey man, I call everyone baby boy like as a term of endearment. It's just my way of saying like, what's up, bud? And he's like, yeah, I'm cool with it. Now, if my opponent's like, hey man, it seems weird, don't comment. All right, I'll try my best. That's probably gonna slip out once or twice. I'm not gonna lie, baby boy, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll try my best. But I never had anyone get upset with it, because I don't say it like I'm like talking down to them. Like, say it in a kind and. But if I'm not calling you baby boy, it means I don't fucking like you, for one. So, like, any of you out there that I've played against and you don't hear me calling you baby boy, it means I don't fucking like you. Just take that right now with a grain of salt. But if I'm calling you baby boys, I think it's because I think you're a cool. Either I know you, or in the short time I've known you, you seem like a cool person. Like, if you ask Brian, I've never called Brian baby boy. I'm dating my wife. Ain't that right, baby boy?
You only called me like 30 times today. What are you talking about?
and to plug our Patreon, if you go back and watch the Friday Night Fights, where I tried something that did not work against Tom, and it really, really hurt, he calls me baby boy 10 times in that game, right? Like,
that's because I was talking down to you in that one. That was that's like you disappointed me, baby boy. I'm just kidding.
It's the inflection, right? It depends on the way that you're saying. It's like with a dog, you can call a dog like, hey, how's it going, good boy? Or, you're a good boy.
That's very much the dude thing. Like, dude.
I haven't watched the stream yet where they're talking about me, but I've heard like a lot of people tell me that they did not like the fact that I was saying baby boy a lot.
I'm gonna, next time I go on War Games Live, I'm gonna just be like, Tom, steal baby boy for the entire time. Make it a Death or Glory thing.
I was told that Joe, the next time he has me on stream, is going to have a baby boy counter, though.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
It's not derogatory, Star-Lord. It's just a term of endearment. It was just some people were inflamed by it. Probably our European people watching.
I just think, honestly, I think it's because some people don't like me and they're going to try to find a way to make, I don't know, that's just how I feel about it, but fuck them. I mean, if you're watching this right now and you don't like me, fuck you. I don't care. Like, I'll be nice to you still, but I mean,
look,
how I am.
We've all said something at some point in life that someone really didn't care for, and if they knew us, they probably wouldn't. They would understand it, myself included. It happens, and in that also vein of, we've all made a mistake in game, which Crawley was talking about there for a minute. I legitimately submitted my army list for All Is Dust, forgot 5 games that I bought 2 relics on my Broodlords the entire time. And the last game, I was like, and I start with 4 CP. The guy's like, oh, your list says you start with 2. And I'm like, no, I bought 1 relic, and it's, and he was like, no, you bought 2 relics for these guys. And I'm like, oh, Yep, completely forgot. And I was like, I'm okay. So I just took the 2 CP off and still forgot in the game, even though he told me I had them, that I had the relics on the Broodlords, because it made no difference. But one of those things that happens.
Wandered away. Ooh, piece of candy.
By the way, that's one thing I gotta say. You go to Canada, the candy is entirely different than in the US. The Cadbury stuff is so much better than the stuff we have here.
Sorry about that, guys. I just saw some random person walk by my window, so I had to go look and make sure someone wasn't trying to come in my house.
It was me. Look behind you. Why do you think this Skype is so fucked up?
Couple things in chat. Sorry, I was walked away for a second. I do apologize for that. It's been a weird stream today, guys. I apologize, man. We're all tired and exhausted today, but we don't really do like a RTT like Art of War, like the stream house, because our team's like just too big for that. Like when we do like private events, like a lot of people want to come play with us. So we do what's called the Invitational. There's talks of doing 2 of them a year now because people like it so much. We'll see after the first one, but it's pretty much where it's kind of like their stream house, except that we get a store and like 60 DOG show up for it. And then
GTs.
what you
100% we could probably pull off a stream house weekend kind of thing. But the problem is how do you pick from all the good players that we have just 8 people to play? I honestly think that would be near impossible. I mean, yes, I would judge. I would do that. I would do commentary for streaming even. But to pick 8 players off this team would be absolute insanity.
Also, if you put the best 8 of us together, and I don't even know who those 8 are, I'm probably not even in that list, but you put us all together, we're all going to go troll as fuck list as humanly possible.
crushing people. So
there would be so many bizarre challenges of giving Brad a ham sandwich to play something completely silly.
Yeah,
possibly even a turkey sandwich to up it a little bit
I
more.
was about to say, give me that turkey sandwich. We're playing some Crew Mercenaries.
Brad can't even beat me, so he's not winning. Like,
can't beat me.
No, like honestly, there's probably a good 8 to 10 people on the same skill level. It'd be headlined by Brad, Pajamas if he wanted to play, Nick Rose obviously, Crowley's like super fucking good, Brenton's up there.
You're going to start spelling out your favorites, and then you're going to get messages after this about how.
Oh, I got some people. I'm going people that's just like that went to tournaments this weekend. I'm going in
like Tim Detliv, Diogo Pitta.
Yeah, Diego.
Inner
team. Austin Wingfield.
Yeah, I mean, even if you like Mike Norton from my area, you grab him and bring him in. There's so many good players. It's not even funny.
Man, I wonder if we could go to like get everybody to try to go to a GW event, except we showed up on like Wednesday and then or Thursday and just did like, because War Games Live is going to show up to that anyway, and just be like, hey, you want to just like pick a local store and we'll do an 8-man event over there for you.
Yeah, they set up the day before. We'll just run it on the GW train.
I don't think our dude would care.
Well, the thing is also DOG will very likely own a stream house this summer. A little spoiler for people. So a lot of us been talking about it, and I think we're very close to just buying one soon, and then having a house that people who don't live near Michigan or Ohio can fly into and hang out, crash for the weekend, play events, practices, tournaments, all that stuff. It's not too far from Brad's house, so Brad doesn't feel like he's going to have to die trying to travel to it. So maybe get 2 games out of him that day instead of 1. But no, DOG is about to acquire a stream house, so that's going to be some cool stuff. When we get the stream house, DOG actually owns a rig that was help designed by Joe from War Games Live. So if we had a place to like have it permanently stored and set up, we'd have a lot more in-game content. It was one of the reasons why we're talking about getting. Actually, Louise, it's not in the ghetto. It's about 20 minutes north of Brad, which is actually a nice neighborhood it's in. So,
It's so hurtful every time. Fucking goddamn dicks.
not that having Brad being a regular visitor is going to help anything, but Brad will have to go back home to get his meth. So we have a lot of cool things coming up, a lot of great events we're going to go to. And, sorry, guys, we didn't have Brad on the show tonight. But enjoy you guys all coming out. If you guys can give us some likes and some subscribes, we appreciate it. And then next week.
So can I do one quick plug for everybody?
100%. Do all the plugs you want.
So number one, if you haven't signed up for Motor City Mayhem, do that now. Immediately. Get signed up. I talked with 60 people in Canada this weekend, and a ton of them are coming. It's going to be a great event. Absolutely fantastic. Sign up for the Salt City GT by the 15th to get the discounted price. The room block will be available later this week. So the saltcitygt.com to do that. It will be a 10th edition event. I'm really looking forward to running that. I just needed to plug those two things out there.
Absolutely. That Poor Soul is from Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, that is. And meth capital of the United States, probably the world. It's also the state that's most likely to marry your cousin. Brad taught me that nice fact one time we were traveling.
Monetized by the freaking algorithm. It doesn't even have to be by the community. We made it all the way to 56 minutes, Brad. We made it so close.
And well, guys, on that note, thank you for coming out to us, hanging out with us, talking with us. Wait, we do have hobby classes at MCM.
And I'm teaching at MCM.
Yeah, and Brad's teaching at MCM, so don't forget those. And then we're going to have a thing where we're actually talking about MCM next week and actually talk about everything that's coming up. So Duff, you'll be a part of that. Don't worry. Other than that, we will catch you later, baby boys. Have a good night.